Okay, back to 5A. We've done the setup. Now this step can be quite confusing. Okay, so for those of you who are afraid that you might miss out the step, take a photo of this area especially. Okay, we have done this. We've mounted the 12mm cutter. Next, we're going to set the X to 0. Okay, the X-axis to 0. For this particular operation process, we will set X to 0 and Z to 0. That's important because we want to mill the slot, and the slot is only to a certain depth. Okay, so this current explanation is about setting the X and the Z to 0, positioning the cutter, and getting ready for the first cut. Okay, so I'm going to explain this, how we're going to do that. Right now, to set the X to 0, you position your cutter to the right of your workpiece. Okay, and then after that, set it somewhere here, and you crank up your workpiece so that it is past okay, so it's somewhere here, past the workpiece here. Okay, right now this is the part where the setting of the X to 0 is different from what you've done previously. Previously, I just asked you to move the cutter until it touches the workpiece, some chips come out, then you set the X to 0 or the Z to 0, right? Remember? And that's because, well, that is the first cut, and the surface finish is, the distance is not controlled yet, right? But right now, our workpiece you really controlled your distance accurately already, and you cannot afford to have a marking on it. Do you understand? You cannot afford to have some chips fly out from it. Then you set the X to 0. Okay, so what we're going to do is, there is a small tab. Later I'll push the whiteboard back. Each one will take a tab, and we'll take some pieces of paper. You can take 1 or 2, and then you tear a small piece away and you soak it in water. Okay, now then after that you fling it so that there's not too much water, and you put the paper on the surface of the workpiece like this. You see it? The workpiece like this. Then what you do is, you turn on the machine and you move it in, and you put on your safety goggles, and you go in. Now as you go in, you can use your judgment to move as close as possible, okay, such that it does not touch yet. Okay, then you gently tap. Okay, gently tap to move this way. Now you forget which direction you need to move, whether clockwise or counterclockwise. You look at your table, your markings here. So I need to move counterclockwise to set my X equals to 0. Okay, you move until the paper gets flicked away. So you keep tapping, like how I'm tapping here on the handle, until the paper gets flicked away. And you need patience, okay? Okay, when the paper flicks away, you stop. Paper flicks away, you stop, and then you set your X to 0. At this point in time, you turn off the machine. Right? Turn off the machine, and then you move over to this side, and you move the Z down. Okay, you move the Z down. Alright? Okay, until the cutter clears the workpiece. Until the cutter clears the workpiece. Now at this point of time, your cutter, the peripheral of the cutter or the circumference of your cutter is touching the workpiece. I want to bring the center of the cutter to the surface here. So how much do I have to go in? How much do I have to go in? If I want to bring the center of the cutter to this surface here, and the diameter of my cutter is 12 mm, how much do I have to go in?
6.
I have to go in by 6 mm. That's why I say here, move the Z up to clear the cutter, then move X to 6 millimeters. Okay? So you move my X to 6 millimeters. So where is the 6 millimeters? Where do I move? I move this way, this direction.
Minus 6.
Sorry, minus 6 there, right? Plus 6 there?
You put plus 6.
Oi, sorry. Can you put minus 6? Thank you. So you move to minus 6. 5.3, 5.4, 5.7. Okay?
Must be exactly 6, right?
Yeah. Exactly 6. Now, once this is exactly 6, there's no way to eyeball and to tell you whether the cutter is at the center of it. You just have to trust it. Then you set your X to 0. Okay? Then you set your X to 0. Then the next thing is, we have to move the, now your cutter is here, it is touching this. You have to move this, the cutter, such that the center of the cutter is at the center of the slot. And that distance is 15 plus 6, which is 21. You understand? So we move in by minus 21. So again, counterclockwise.
Wait, minus 21 is plus the 6 or not plus the 6?
I already set to 0 already. So it's
just plus minus 21.
minus 21 because you're already at the center. Right?
Oh, it's the center.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it is 21. So you move to 21. Yeah. Oops, too much. Mm. Then you stop here. Okay? Now this is where your slot is going to be. Now the reason why I clamp the workpiece so that it is protruding, you need to make sure that it protrudes out at least 4 to 5 millimeters like that. Okay? If your workpiece is submerged into the vise, there is no way you can cut the slot. You'll be cutting the vise. Don't cut the vise. Understand? So cut the workpiece. Now at this point of time, right? The next step is to set Z to 0. Where is your, how to set Z to 0?
The paper trick again, is it?
Yes, the paper trick again. You put your paper here. Oops, too much water. I put my paper here at the behind. Okay? And then what I do is that I move it here this way. Okay? And then I turn the cutter on. And I move and I start to tap until the paper moves. You need a lot of patience for this. Then when the paper finally moves, that's where you stop. Okay? And then you set your Z to 0. Okay? Turn off your machine and position your cutter outside here. Alright, position your cutter outside here and let's get it ready to cut. Okay, now do this setup. Once you position and ready, then you come back here and then I'll show you what to do next. Okay, let's do that.